Hello everyone, welcome to Jamie TV and thank you for watching. This is going to be a bit of a weird one for me because this is going to be my first ever bass guitar lesson for YouTube. It's something I've been asked to do many times over the years, but I've always shied away from it because there are so many great bass guitar teachers on YouTube already with fantastic content, and I've always thought, does it really need me adding to that? I mean, you know, I teach bass and I teach guitar and a number of other instruments for a living actually, but on YouTube I make videos about mobile music production because it's something I'm very passionate about. But I've been really pestered to make this particular video, so let's see how it goes. If you think that it sucks, just let me know in the comments and I promise I won't make any more. Now recently I made a demo video for Aurora DSP of their Mammoth for bass plugin, and I played a number of different examples, different playing styles, different sounds to show what the plugin could do, and I played this one riff which I've been asked to demonstrate by several different people, so here goes. Alright, so first of all let's play the riff a little slowed down. Etc. Right, now the way I see it, the difficulty with teaching on YouTube is that I don't know what level you're at. I don't know what you already know. It's not like when I'm teaching one of my students in person, because I've taught them, I know what they know. So if I try and teach you anything that you already know, then you'll just have to forgive me. Or maybe diss me in the comments below, that's fine too. Now this riff is based around your A minor pentatonic scale. So on a 4-string bass playing from E to G, that would be frets 5 and 8 on the E string, 5 and 7 on the A, 5 and 7 on the D, 5 and 7 on the G. Nice and simple. Now this riff begins with a lovely bounce that I use to get into the root note. So I'm actually starting with the 5th of the scale, which is an E, but I'm using the low E here, and I'm thumping it. And don't pissy pants about when you thump, not when you're playing a slap riff. The way I do this, and the only way I can teach this is the way that I do it. Some people may do it slightly differently, but I thump near the bottom of the fretboard. It's kind of almost before the end of the fretboard. And what I try very hard to do is to thump really hard from a short distance. So none of this, because if you play like this, you're not going to be very accurate. It might look great, but it's not a good technique. Anyway, so and actually to facilitate the thumping from a short distance, what I'm kind of doing is when my fingers are not being used to pop notes, I'm kind of keeping them against the strings or against the bottom of the fretboard right here. It kind of gives me a bit of an anchor point for the thumping. So I thump near the bottom of the fretboard, and the technique is to hit hard and bring the thumb away straight away. Now the string is already vibrating, and we're going to use that velocity that it already has to do a hammer-on for the first root note of the riff. So I'm just hammering my first finger as hard as I can against the fretboard at fret 5. Then my thumb comes down to create a dead note. So what I do is thumb down and leave it against the string. And that in itself, those 3 notes, is really good practice. If you're new to slap, if you've never done this before, then it may very well be worth spending some time just going over those 3 notes and get that technique down. Maybe put a metronome on, put it at a really slow speed, play it to the metronome. and then speed it up and speed it up and speed it up. And when you get to a point where you start to play messy, take it back a little, play it like that for a while until you've mastered it there, speed up. Right, okay, so after the dead thumb note, my first finger is coming underneath the D string at fret 7, and I pull it up. I call it a pop. I pull it up and I let that string slap back against the fretboard, but it doesn't ring out. To make it a staccato short note, I'm just bringing my finger away from the fretboard. Now you may notice I'm using my little finger for this. Probably best technique would be to use third finger, but my hands are really small, so my little finger gets a lot of use. What do I do then? Right, yes, I do another dead note on the E string with the thumb. And then my first finger goes to fret 5 of the D string and I pop that one. And back to fret 7 on the D. Right, so all three of those popped notes are all short staccato notes. I thought there was another word I was going to use there, but it won't come to me. Right, then another dead thumb note. So far we have now I go to the G string and it's first finger to fret 5, and I'm popping again a very short staccato note, and again at fret 7 on the G. Then I repeat the riff. Now what I try and do when I write a riff, particularly one like this that's going to be kind of standout, it's going to be heard. This is not just kind of a sort of in the background supporting roll riff. This one's going to be heard. And when I do that, I try and use the same kind of technique that a singer would use when creating a melody, or a guitar player would use when making up a solo, and that is to use a question-answer phrasing approach. So you repeat the riff, change the ending slightly, and it is only slight because we play the riff again exactly the same. The only difference being that those two notes, instead of just popping 5 and then 7 on the G, I'm hammering from 5 to 7 and pulling off. Now, I don't know whether you're already proficient at doing hammer-ons and pull-offs, so just quickly, when you hammer on with the third finger to fret 7, drive that fingertip into that string as hard as you can. The string is already moving because we've just played it at fret 5, and use that velocity to create the note. So all you need to do is drive that fingertip of the third finger as hard as you can, as fast as you can, into that string. Now, if you are not getting a loud note, if you're getting a bit of a weak note, if you're not getting a note at all, then the thing to look at is, first of all, make sure that your first finger is not coming away from the string at all. That should be firmly pressing down that string right throughout these three notes, and you want to be aiming for the string with the very tip of your finger. To pull away, there's a little secret to pull-offs, which is that when you pull the finger away from the string, if you simply pull your finger right, you just pull it away, it's going to make kind of it's going to make a note, but it's going to make a quieter note. because what we want to do is we want to pull off this string and make this note sound again. So what I do is I pull my finger to the side a little bit, just a little bit, not so as to bend it out of tune, but just enough that it puts a little bit of tension back on that string, so that when you let go, it's going to make a note. I think I explained that reasonably okay. Okay, right, so basically what happens in this riff is we keep repeating and then change the ending. Right, so the third bar is a repeat of the first bar. Is it a bar? It's 2 bars. It's 2 bars. I'm counting it in my head. Right, okay, so the riff is 2 bars, and then the end of the second 2 bars is slightly different, and then we repeat the first way of playing the riff. I could have definitely explained that better. Right, okay, now the 4th time around, all we do is this. Right, now what I'm doing there is I'm going down to fret 3 on the E, and I'm thumping down twice, and I'm doing a bit of an over-the-top vibrato there. Right, now sometimes I get people asking me actually, because I use quite a lot of vibrato on bass, and I quite often get people, especially bass players, asking me why I do so much vibrato on the bass. And it's as if a lot of bass players seem to think that they're not supposed to do vibrato, and that's rubbish. That's a lot of rubbish. If you watch any other stringed instrument player, and I mean any other, you're going to see him using vibrato, and it sounds awesome on bass, so this is definitely something we should be using. And what I'm doing is thumb down twice. So the first one is more of a slight bend, just a slight, a guitarist would probably call this a blues curl. So I hit that note and bend that note up, bend the string up slightly. And the second one, it's a fast vibrato. If you've never done vibrato on the bass before, it's just, I'm just shaking my finger really. I'm just wobbling that note, that's all it is. Right, and then we kind of start again. This time what I'm doing for the second playthrough of the riff is I'm popping fret 5 on the G twice. The second time I'm doing a slight bend. It's like again what a guitarist would call a blues curl. So we're not bending all the way up to the next note of the scale, we're just bending it up, maybe slightly. You could say we're bending it up slightly out of tune, but it's just kind of bending to taste. It's just adding a little flavour. And the end of the progression is simply the hammer-on and pull-off again on the G, exactly the same as before, and then thumb down on the A and slide it down. Now, of course, this riff was created just to demonstrate something, and all it needed to be was several bars of groove before the next example. So I didn't really take it any further than that. And the way that I developed it was to have a riff that I was repeating and just kind of change the end to put in some variety. Now you could take this riff and do your own thing with it, and you're very welcome to do so. Just play the riff and maybe put your own little variations in, your own endings. Explore the fretboard, see what you can do with it. maybe move it to play over another chord. You could very easily play this over the A, I suppose. If you wanted to play it over the A, I'm saying A, I mean over the D, don't I? I'm using an open A and I'm bouncing onto a root note of D. Idiot. I never said I was clever. I'm just a stupid old hippie with a purple bass. Right, so what we do, if we want to move to play over the D, right, we use an open A, bounce onto the D, play that octave note there. Just as we played before, we're just moving everything over a string. But now, because I'm playing a 4-string and I haven't got an extra string here, the next notes I would have to move up. Now, we've moved from A to D, so we've effectively moved 5 frets. By moving to the next open string, we've effectively moved up 5 frets. So that means that the notes that I was playing here over the A are now here at fret 10 and 12 on the G. You know, that could sound quite cool, but you know, do your own. Oh, and another thing you could do, another thing you could do, something I'm quite fond of doing. Just put in little bits of 7 chords, all kinds of stuff you could do. If you like this video, please say so, and maybe I'll do another video to follow on from it about where else we could take this riff. But anyway, thank you very, very much for watching my first bass tutorial video. If it was of any use to you at all, then please do put a nice comment below and give me a thumb up, and maybe subscribe if you're not interested in the mobile music videos that I make, but you'd like more bass videos like this, then maybe subscribe and drop me a comment telling me what kind of bass lesson you would like to receive from me. If you're interested in checking out my own music, I've got my website address below the video. I've got my Patreon account down there if you'd like to support the channel, or you could also support the channel by making a paypal.me donation. All the information's down below the video, as are my social links and all that. Feel free to add me as a friend, follow me, stalk me if you wish. And what else was I going to say? Oh yes, and my email address is down below the video for a reason. If you'd like to ask me anything further about this particular lesson, or anything about music, about bass, about mobile music production at all, then please do feel free to contact me. This is what I do now. So yeah, there we are. Right, so I think that's me done wobbling now. So have a great day, take care of yourself, see you soon.